Pollster Frank Luntz recently hosted a focus group with Gen Z voters, ages 18 to 24 from around the country. I want to show you what they had to say about capitalism versus socialism. It's eye-opening.
Socialism, because I think, frankly, capitalism is destroying our planet, where shareholders are going after profits at the expense of our environment, at the expense of the lives of humans.
Ultimately, capitalism is what...
I have to pause there. So you don't think socialism does not capitalize on destroying the environment and destroying the planet, but you think only capitalism? I think that there's a bigger picture. Yes, capitalism takes part of it. Yeah, there's ways to profit burning fuel, but socialist societies do it too.
What makes America, so sought after. It's why everybody wants to come here and not the other way around.
Capitalism encourages the exploitation of people. I think capitalism supports people who are already at the top.
I'm actually the son of Cuban refugees, so I understand firsthand how the dangers of socialism, and specifically its link to authoritarianism, can really destroy a country.
Join us right now.
It's always the people who are escaping socialism tries to warn people in a capitalist society. Socialism is not good. But, for me, my 18 through 22 or 24, college years, there is a good amount of socialism that you want to believe in, because you just want to picture a more unified utopia where everyone contributes, pays their fair share, right? I get it. It's not always worked, though. It's a super, super fragile system and so much more easily corruptible. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a full capitalist. I support capitalism. But capitalism has its flaws, too. I do believe that I do believe that capitalism, right now in 2024, is the best form of society humanity can think of. If you could think of a better version, that'd be great. I'd like to hear about it, but for sure, socialism is not. Capitalism gives you the ability to earn more of the hard work you put in, something creative that no one else is putting into, because you deserve it. Now, don't get me wrong that it can be easily corruptible too. Capitalism can. That's the bane of our existence right now. Capitalism is the ability to push down competition while corporations rise up. And I think because of that, it's what causes younger generations to look for better alternatives, because they feel like they can't win in capitalism. They can't rise up in capitalism. But socialism is definitely not the answer. Socialism is not a place where you can really rise up in the ranks and really reap what you sow, right?
Now is pollster and political strategist Frank Luntz. He was the one who conducted that focus group, and it was pretty remarkable. I watched a large portion of it. Were you surprised by the language?
The language, I was surprised. I was not surprised about the conclusion. Young people are always to the left. Mm-hmm. When they use a word like exploitation, when they talk about corruption or greed, those send off bells to me, and I'm warning Washington, D.C., that all this anger and all this frustration with the economy, right? No, it's not good. No, it's not working for them. And you better pay attention to this, because these young people are not just writing off politicians. That's right. Easy to do.
But here's the
in other ways, a lot of the young people just straight don't understand capitalism. Therefore, they just suck at capitalism. Nothing's going to be handed to you. You have to work for it. You have to figure it out. Develop a skill that's in high demand, that you enjoy doing. That's what's going to get you up higher, making more money versus your competitors. If you're someone who's just looking to skate by, it's not going to work out. And you're going to be someone who's going to complain all the time. Say, maybe socialism will work out. This way, I'll be able to have free education and free this, free that. But guess what? Free is very expensive. It comes out of your paycheck. And before you know it, you're going to be waiting on bread, not like in a capitalist society where bread waits on you.
The question then, is the answer, when you say the government needs to be watching, right, that folks in Congress and the Senate need to be watching, there is a a view among some, which is that to make it work for the American people better than it is today, the answer isn't necessarily capitalism per se, but it is, and it may be even more socialistic perspective, which is that we need to get more money into the hands of these people. And the question, of course, is how do you do that?
Well, the key for them is that road, that opportunity, that direction. And all they're asking for is a fighting chance. And if they see Washington behaving in such ways to deny them that chance, to tax them so much, to regulate those so much, the litigation, all these things that are happening to capitalism is undermining our faith, our trust, and our confidence.
Is that what you found, though, in the focus group itself?
What he was just highlighting was actually socialism. That's why younger people feel like they can't breathe. That it's just like we live in a capitalist society, but there's so many socialist policies that makes the young people think, look, this is what capitalism does, when it's really these socialist policies. The more taxations, it's unnecessary. How government spends money, we keep sending money overseas to Ukraine and Taiwan and all these other countries when we should be using that money for ourselves. This is why it's important to vote and see and really look at, like, if there's a policy you don't like that's very wasteful, see who's been voting on it. Has your senator or representative been voting yes to these horrible policies? Then vote them out. You have that ability to do it.
In the focus group itself, they want to know that it is a level playing field. So basically, they want to take us back. I hate to use the phrase, but Reaganomics, take us back to the 1980s, 1990s, when people had a chance to move ahead. They had a chance to invest. They admire entrepreneurs. They admire small business owners, family businesses they admire. The big corporations, not so much.
Right.
And I wish that the business community also paid attention
When
to
Reagan
this.
said that
I do worry about Reaganomics because that's where the trickle-down theory, right? When the rich have money, they're able to just provide more jobs, more everything else to everyone else. There's some truth, but at the same time, it's not a perfect system, right? Huge corporations, they have a lot of money. Yeah, they might buy a yacht. Hey, that yacht brings in jobs. But, like, what's very important is the type of jobs that can sustain a family. The type of job that can sustain a middle-class income. Now, this is where in capitalist society, you're allowed to quit your job and look for something better. Problem is, there's a lot of monopolies now. A lot of these monopolies need to be broken up, where there's more competition and internal competition where the employee can say, you know what, they're paying more over there, so I'm either going to negotiate with my current employer or I'm going to go over there. But right now, what the job market is right now, there's only just so many companies to work for. So it's hard to circle around and find the best pay. And one thing I want to touch on is mention greed. I believe that greed is making an earnings off causing harm to others. If you invent something that's good for other people, great. I want you to get rich off that. But in order for you to get rich, you have to screw other people over. I'm not for that, and that is greed.
that only one generation at a time can understand that capitalism is what works, and we can't pass it down through our genes to our next generation.
We have to teach it, and that's the
what
problem.
I mean. That's what he said.
In our schools, they're not, in colleges now, they teach socialism. They tell the students that you're not getting a fair shake.
Do they teach?
Yeah, I remember this like 15 years ago in college, where they teach me socialism, not so much on capitalism. And a lot of it has to do is because the instructors are really pissed that they're not happy with the pay. They feel like they deserve more. I get it, right? So this way you want to be in a system where you feel like you're progressing up. It's not going to happen in a socialist society. You are plateaued in a socialist society. And if anything, you are just taxed out. Capitalist society, you always have options to figure out how to move up. But don't get me wrong, there is crony capitalism. It's hard to say because, like, of course, representatives want factories to be built at their area that they represent because it brings in jobs. And when you say you bring in jobs, you're more likely going to get reelected and go on with a political career. Now, if a corporation wants to go, say they want to move into A, their tax on that would probably be like 2%, while area B will say, hey, we'll put your taxes at 0.5%. The people who will pay taxes are the employees, but hey, you brought them the jobs, And if they have jobs, they'll pay the tax. It's better than not having a job. So that's just one of like a lot more, right? Of different methods of how deals are constructed in a capitalist society.
What socialism and communism are not the same thing, but sometimes one results in the other. It usually results in about 10 or 50 million people dead. I mean, we've tried this.
Well,
we haven't done it right yet? Is it the same old excuse? We've tried socialism, we just haven't done it right yet, right?
No, because I'm separating the politics. That's easy to get agitated.
I don't want to get agitated.
This
I
is
just
the
had 2 weeks
core of
off.
our economy.
Let's show, because this speaks to some of this. Let's show the audience this. You asked a question about what America needs more of, meritocracy or equality. And I thought that was actually an interesting thing. A majority said they would choose equality. Take a look at this.
Before they go in that, topics of equality, I believe in equality of opportunity, but you cannot have equality of outcome. Some people are going to work harder than others. Some people are just smarter than others. Some people are better at others. Now, if you can start them at the same starting line, I get it, but there's going to be people who just outperform others, and they deserve more. That's why there should not be equality of outcome.
Meritocracy has its place, and I think that people are often rewarded for how hard they work, but I don't think equality is the right word. It should think maybe we should be talking about a third option, which is equity, because equality, I think, involves bringing some people down and raising others up, whereas if we get everybody up just to the same starting place, then we really could have a shot at meritocracy being very fruitful for people.
You know who really understands meritocracy right now are comedians, because it's easy for us to judge, right? If you see a comedian and he sucks, you're going to stop watching him, right? Now, if there's a comedian who's really good, you're going to want to go watch him. And you know what? They could be so good that they could sell out arenas. You may not like the ticket price, but there's enough people willing to pay the expensive ticket prices. So that's meritocracy. You deserve the monies that you're really good at. You don't deserve any more than the next person if you're just subpar.
I think we can thrive under a meritocracy, but I think it's inherently not fair if we were to do that at the place we are now. Everyone needs to be at the same starting point.
So that's an interesting conundrum, because we are all not at the same starting point, and the chances of that ever happening, I think, are nil.
Exactly, and that's the challenge here. Our country is based on the idea that you do more, you get more. You do better, you make better. And this is challenging that exactly. In the end, I look at this as an entire generation that's been educated to have resentment, to have a sense of denial, and it's now coming true in how our young people respond.
Let's show everybody the final question that you asked this group, and it is this. You asked, I don't know if we can flip that board back again before we go, because we do want to show that. I don't know if the folks who have that videotape can put that in the prompter there for us.
Can they find it?
The question, if I recall it, was about democracy and the role of democracy, and really whether democracy is in danger, effectively, of failing. Let's show that.
First and foremost, remember, the United States is not a democracy. It's a republic. If you don't know what that is, now's a good time to pause the video and just go look that up and understand what's the difference.
A lot of it stems from the fact that we're constantly fighting with each other and we're not even trying to solve the issues that everyone sees. Our democracy is not going to continue to stand if we continue to fight the party lines.
I think about like January 6th, when we're talking about like politicians straight up lying to people about election fraud, things that are critical to our democracy, the foundation of America, making those things unstable, making it so that we question, have faith in our election system. I think that is extremely dangerous. I think that is dangerous to the very core of our democracy.
I trust them. These are not dumb people. In fact, I think they're very articulate. I may disagree with them, but they're hostile. Right. And the things I'm looking at right now, and you and I were talking off air about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Here's a great example. The owner sells the team to a new people.
Right. Mark Lohr, for those who don't know, who sold his business originally to Walmart, also A-Rod.
And that new owners have done a fantastic job. by 20%, which is a huge number. The fans want the new owners to own the team,
right.
And yet the old owner is saying, oh, no. Now that we're doing well, I want the team back. That's crap, and I'm using very careful language here. This is why people have come to distrust capitalism, when they've come to distrust the system.
Right.
Because the old owner thinks he can steal it back. He's going to try, and the fans are saying no way. So my question to people watching right now, are you paying attention? Are we going to make sure that the system works for everybody? And do you believe in some sense of integrity and honesty, that when you make a commitment, you follow through?
Now, for the owner to steal it back, I mean, that's just crony capitalism. And that, these crony capitalism techniques is what gives a sour taste in our society of capitalism, which causes people to look towards socialism, which is very sad because there are people who are trying to escape socialism and come to the United States because our methods of capitalism is better than any other country. Is it perfect? By no means is it. I'm going to read some comments now. Simp McSimpy says, when your country decides to send $100 billion to other countries, instead of fixing problems at home, you have to ask, what kind of a system is that? I was just complaining about that, right? It bothers me how we're trying to take care of other people, but we're not taking care of our own. Now, can you just say, oh, that's what capitalists do, or that's what socialism? You can't really just say which society does that, but it's kind of like a different topic though, of like, hey, we need to be using the money here, not there. I don't know how to say this. It's S888A Kenobi, but this person says, it's not necessarily capitalism, but the current paradigm of mutant capitalism that has taken hold in society. And by extension, all of the inequities it creates and perpetuates. We are already in a corporatocracy and are lying to ourselves if we think otherwise. The will of the citizens are being undermined every single day by special interest groups, namely corporate interests and that of the hyper wealthy. I'm a millennial and Gen Z. You're both? Anyway, that actually there's some truth to it. That's not a lot of it, because capitalist society, what corporations pick that they want to do is always try to pay people as little as possible and try to get away with it and try to get government on their side for this. How they can try to get tax breaks and get government on their side for this. It's corporations just doing everything they can to have the government side with them versus the government siding for the people. And the government works for the people, not the people work for the government or the government works for corporations. Corporatism is the problem, not capitalism. Very similar to what I was just saying. I hope I'm saying this right. Mauricio Gonzalez Film says, hold corporations accountable and get rid of Citizens United ruling. Get money out of politics that undermines our trust. I mean, man, this has been, people complain about money in politics forever. And I do believe that is a problem, right? Because it just shows that more and more of our government is representing corporations versus representing the people. However, we the people keep voting these people in. Now, I don't know what it is, if it's just like, oh, we see the same face on advertisements, but we ignore the people. Like, when you're at the voting booth, you see, say you're Republican, you see 5 names for Republicans, but the person on top is the one you see in the ads all the time. You go, oh, well, I'll vote for that guy because he's Republican, and so am I. Or I could say the same for Democrats, oh, the person I keep seeing on the ads, I'm a Democrat, blue no matter who. The person I keep seeing on the ads, vote for that person. Honestly, most of the times, that's the last person you want to vote in for. But who has time to really look into politics? I wish people focus more on it. Vote for the person with the best interest in the country, not the interest of corporations. But that's another topic. Jonathan Chang, 1574, said, did he try prescribed Reaganomics? Reagan's trickle-down economics having everyone work 2 jobs, moving businesses overseas, etc. is how we got into the mess in the first place. That's hard to argue. Because ever since Reaganomics, you saw a lot more factories go over to China because it was just cheaper labor, right? Versus paying Americans here. Because, paying non-slave wages is a lot. Why do that when you can save a lot of money with cheaper labor in China? Have your products come to us, shipped to us. Even after all that, having products go made somewhere else and shipped all the way to here is still cheaper than paying American people. And that is a huge problem. created a lot less jobs. We created more jobs overseas, right? I like these people, these governments that say, oh, we're job creators. Yeah, you created jobs somewhere else, not in the US. Super Thought Nut said, we need socialism just to keep capitalism afloat. The middle class is falling into poverty because capitalism doesn't work for most people and voters are recognizing that. You know what? I feel like middle class and below have the worst parts of capitalism, while the elites, first class, whatever you want to call them, upper class, have the best parts of socialism. Because they have government on the side to bail them out. Whenever a corporation is going through a difficult time, all too big to fail, we'll lose all these jobs. Good, let them fail. They screwed up. But no, we have to give them a bailout. That's a socialist act too. Giving them money to bail them out. You know what, dude? We have so many people who struggle to make their mortgage payments, but no one's bailing them out. We have all these homeless people out there because they couldn't afford the rent. No one bailed them out. Okay, I think that's about it for today. If you want to comment below, I will read them. Please leave a like and subscribe. Until next time, take care. Bye.